global pandemic. Some might say it's the perfect moment to get into video games. They combine art and music, coding and animation, plus at a time when we're feeling more distance from each other than ever, video games allow us to connect with people far and wide.
Dios Padre Todopoderoso.
The gaming industry has seen record sales in recent weeks, and to talk more about the impact of COVID-19 on the gaming industry, I'm joined by Perez-Duarte of New York-based BAFTA-nominated award-winning studio Stories and Declan Cassidy from Intergames, the UK-based non-profit that runs SideQuest, which supports young people wanting to get into gaming. Hello, both of you. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Great to be here.
Now, starting with you, Declan, what game have you most been playing in lockdown?
I've been getting really into Outer Wilds. It's like just an incredible narrative story about kind of time travel and travel to other worlds and all kinds of stuff. All the kind of sci-fi stuff that I'm really into. So I'm a big Trekkie at heart. So yeah, it's where I'm at.
And you, Andreas?
Well, besides from playing the game of trying to keep the apartment clean, I've been playing a lot of Grizz actually, which is, a beautiful side scroller, dealing with loss and isolation, which is a very fitting, I think, at the moment. But I've also been revisiting all-time favorite Red Dead Redemption.
And we can have the knowledge of fire. But with that comes the knowledge of everything.
And the figures for video games in recent months are incredible. In March, when much of the world went into lockdown, global video game sales approached $1.6 billion. That's a 35% increase on the same period last year. We know that around 2.2 billion people play video games worldwide on a regular basis. That's a third of the planet. Do you think the industry, though, has gained some new converts during this pandemic, Andreas?
Absolutely. I mean, it's unbelievable to see, even little things like house party, how people are, trying to be more social while social distancing and just joining in with their friends and family and, playing online and playing, like games that are distractions and that are, they take you out of this world and into other beautiful worlds. I think it's been just a boom in exploration too.
Now, there are thousands of professional video game streamers who are used to spending their days in isolation, and a huge new audience is at home to watch them. It seems like the perfect job for these times. We spoke to the UK-based Sacriel, who has more than 650,000 fans who regularly watch him play. Take a listen.
My name's Chris. I'm a live streamer on Twitch.tv. On Twitch.tv, I go by the name Sacriel. There are lots of different types of live streamers. Some play games, some do art, some do music, some just speak to their audience. I'm a gaming live streamer, so that means I play my video games live in front of my audience. I've been a full-time live streamer for about 8 years now. Has the virus affected live streaming? It has. A lot more people have a lot more time to spend at home and want to be entertained. So across the board, Twitch and all the channels on Twitch have seen a reasonably large viewer base growth. My community is known as the 42nd. It's an amazing set of people from all across the globe, all walks of life. I've met hundreds and hundreds of them every single year. I make my way to gaming conventions where I can meet my audience live. It's an amazing thing that something like playing video games on the internet has allowed me to connect so deeply with so many people. It's one of the best parts of the job. It's nice to feel like I'm making a difference in my own little way. A lot of people are struggling. We get messages every day about how watching this show managed to help them through a tough time. And many of my viewers don't realize sometimes I'm the one having a tough time and they're getting me through it. So it's an amazing celebration of community and gaming.
Are bugs in trouble? I'm pursuing the bug.
Declan, is video game streamer the most virus-proof job in the world now, do you think?
Virus proof? Yeah, I think so. I mean, streaming was already, always was massive, before before kind of COVID hit. And, you ask kind of pretty much any kind of 12, 13-year-old what they want to do when they're older, and streamers been added to the list. So I think there's a whole bunch of young people out there that really see it as a potential career for them in the future, or certainly something that they can do to talk about their life and what they're doing, and to these things are their communities. It's not just that individual talking about their life and what they're doing and what games they're playing, but they're building a large community around that, and that's really important as well.
And Declan, we know video games have an enormous economic status, played by almost equal number of men and women. It's impossible to now say that video games are part of a subculture. Let's talk though more about their cultural status. What role do they play on today's cultural landscape, do you think?
Video games are at the same point as movies, books, great art, and I think they take it a step further, really, because a lot of those experiences are things that you step back and you view and you have an opinion on, but games are the first time where you're in that experience. It can make you feel and think differently quite quickly, and put you in the shoes of somebody else, sometimes quite literally. That's an incredibly important thing that's going to have ramifications for years and years and years to come. And I know Andreas has develops those kind of games.
Ink Stories has just launched the new interactive game Fire Escape on the digital platform Steam. It wasn't created with the pandemic and the lockdown in mind, but it is about a lockdown, isn't it? Tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, talk about irony and timing, right? We created this game with gentrification in mind and voyeurism. We wanted to create a Neo Hitchcock experience that could put you, in your fire escape, spying on across your neighbors across the way, and we put you in murder mystery, and people have to go under lockdown because they're all suspects.
Now, both of you, there's this preconception in the mainstream about video games that it's just young boys maybe shooting and killing people for hours on end. People believe they're defined by Call of Duty, FIFA and Grand Theft Auto, but also family-friendly stuff like Mario and Pokemon. But as recent exhibitions like that at the V&A in London, the museum showed us, they're much more than that. Can you tell us a little bit about the diversity of some of the games that are available now?
The wide player base that we have now, is, as I said before, is it's almost 50%. Women and men. It's we're talking about it's like 97% of under 18-year-olds play video games. And of course before that, you've got your you've got your parents and your and now your grandparents that are playing video games. And I think each one of those different groups has different things that they might be interested in. Some are more into, the younger people are more into kind of group multiplayer play. So, things like Fortnite, things like that. But then, like myself, there's those that are much more into kind of narrative stuff. When it comes to kind of, games like, Red Dead Redemption, things like that. That are much more about a kind of personal experience and a journey.
And Declan, you're running SideQuest. It's a lockdown project that wants something like 100,000 young people currently stuck at home to make their first games. It started in May. It challenges game developers aged between 13 and 19 to build games within a week. Why is this a good career for young people?
I think the special thing about the games industry is that it's basically at the kind of intersection between art and technology, and all the broad range of roles that are in between that. So you've got stuff in kind of narrative and programming, and then of course you've just got running the game studios and marketing those games. So you've just got such a broad variety of roles for people to kind of get stuck, get their teeth stuck into. So it's not something that you have to be a programmer to get into the industry. And even within programmer, there's loads of different types of programmer, loads of different types of programming languages, and it's growing so fast. And then within that industry, the kind of creative potential is just, people say unlimited about lots of stuff, and they overuse that word, but like seriously, it's a medium that you can create anything in, talk about anything, and really develop community around everything. It's just such an exciting space for young people to kind of get involved in.
To Declan's point, I don't come from a background in gaming. I'm more of a film person. So, like the true testament, go out there and don't be shy. Because Fire Escape really comes from cinephobes that we were, we're so obsessed with Hitchcock and narrative, and we wanted to merge all of that and create an interactive experience.
How do we stop, though, this addictive side of video games, especially for young people and husbands, for example?
I mean, it's there's levels of addiction, and addiction is a complex thing. It's usually based on someone's position in their life, what's going on in their world. Playing lots of video games could be an escape for lots of other reasons. It's not the cause, but certainly when it comes to young people maybe having a bit too much screen time, I think that's something that the parents should be dealing with initially, and you can do that by kind of limiting that screen time, making it special, or playing games with your kids. Yep. Which I think is the most important thing, and I think that's something that this situation has really brought forward as well. It's like the parents have to play games with their kids because they're all stuck in the house together. And I think that's a really cool thing that's come out of this as well.
And Andreas, like 25% of sales of Fire Escape are going to COVID-19 relief efforts. Now, we've all been watching the situation in New York on the news with heavy hearts. What's it like over there?
I have to say the people in this city do not stop surprising you and amazing you. I don't know if you have this where you live, but at 7:00 everyone comes out with pots and pans and whistles and horns and thanking our first responders, our frontliner, and it just really transcends what we as humans are capable of doing together.
Andres, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much, Declan Cassidy, for joining us as well. Stay safe, both of you. Now we're going to leave you with a look at a game that's exploded during the confinement, Nintendo's Animal Crossing New Horizons. Have either of you played it?
Yes.
13 million copies sold in 6 weeks. It might have even been more if the Nintendo Switch hadn't sold out in many places for weeks. Sales of the Switch console were up 24% in March and April compared with the same period last year. Thank you for your company and thank you for joining us. Stay safe, everybody. See you next time.
The last few months have sometimes felt like we are living in a Hollywood blockbuster. A deadly virus, the frantic search for a vaccine, international travel suspended, and life upended for billions of people. On France 24, we're trying to make sense of these extraordinary times in a programme called The New Normal, featuring reporting from our correspondents around the world.
The New Normal on France 24 and France24.com.